Hello everyone, welcome back to the Foreplay channel. I'm Bella.
I'm Jace.
Today's video is all about Naughty Nolans, which is an open relationship, alternative relationship, open person convention in New Orleans, Louisiana every year in June or July. Usually it's one of the 2 months every year.
If you guys are wanting to go to Naughty next year and you want to go with a group, come with us. Foreplay.com/events right here. We're gonna do, a little meet and greet. We'll do a messaging thing before so everyone kind of get to know everybody, give out some swag, do a group dinner, all the fun stuff we like to do always at these group things.
So if our content helps you out at all and you plan on coming to Naughty Nolans in the future, booking through our links is completely free to you, but helps us out a ton, and we would love to have you part of our group and become friends.
All right, so this video, Naughty is such a huge event. We're gonna try to keep it as concise as possible. We have a podcast about this that will be out, the link below. That will probably be a little bit over an hour long. So if you want a more us kind of not rambling but going really into detail, make sure to check out the podcast. But we're gonna try to keep this concise so you get all the information without it being an hour-long YouTube video. So we will start out with demographic. I would say here the demographic is pretty much like that of most lifestyle places. I'd say that 45 to 55-year-old range is the largest majority of people. You have people in your 30s, 60s, 70s, 20s, kind of on both sides of that. But the people here were from all over, because it is like a national event, it's international, so you meet people from all over. People were so wonderful, and I would say for us, it felt like it was a majority lifestyle people. Like I said, it's not a lifestyle specific event, it is an open event, but from our perspective, we feel like most of the people that we met were in the lifestyle.
It was definitely mostly couples. There wasn't like a ton of singles or triads or more, but overall it did feel more lifestyle. But I know that they're trying to make it to where it's not only swingers, only lifestyle. They're wanting it to be completely just open in general. And I think that's the future trajectory of the entire event.
So size-wise, pretty dang big event, around 3,000 people or so, which is comparable with like a cruise. So we're not gonna compare this to a cruise per se, but some of the stuff, it's the best way to kind of get an idea because they're only things that are really even comparable. So it's a very large size event, 3,000 people between 2 main hotels. That's pretty big.
The way that purchasing a ticket for this event works is, so there are different packages that you can get. There's a Wednesday through Sunday package, and there's also a Thursday to Sunday package. The package itself is going to get you a badge, which is going to get you into all of the different parts of the event itself. This includes all of the parties, all of the classes, and the seminars, all of the Bourbon Street party takeovers, going to see the vendors, all of the playrooms. So those things you need to have a badge to go. There are also daytime passes that you can get, and those are more specific per day, and some of them is only per each hotel. And we would, if you really want to get a full experience of what this event and convention is, we would highly recommend just to get the package and to do either Wednesday through Sunday or Thursday through Sunday. We got there on Wednesday, and honestly a lot of people did come on Thursday, so I don't feel like you have to come on Wednesday, but it just gave us an extra day and it was still really fun. And in addition to getting the package, to be able to get the package, you do have to stay at one of the 2 main host hotels. There's one hotel called the Astor Hotel, and that one has about 700 rooms. And so that one is going to be where a majority of the things are going on, just because there's more rooms there and it's just overall a bigger hotel. And then there's also a second hotel, and this year was at the Nopsey Hotel, and this one is a smaller hotel of about 200 plus rooms. They also had events and activities going on, including a dance party. We're going to get into that a little bit later at this hotel as well. It's just smaller, and there isn't one hotel to hold everybody to get like the 3,000 people. That's the reason why they have the 2 different hotels. And then they also have overflow hotels in case those 2 run out, and they usually do run out every single year. So that's another thing that if you do plan on coming to Naughty Nolans in the future, we would recommend to book earlier than later, because you never know when they're going to sell out. And then also, if you want to stay at a specific hotel, you want to make sure that you're able to get a room at the hotel that you want to be at.
Accommodation wise, they are both very nice hotels. I feel like definitely the Nopsy is the nicer of the two hotels. So if you're looking for a little bit more luxury, I would say Nopsy is probably the better choice, but both hotels are really nice overall, and I would feel super happy with staying in either one of them.
Both hotels are only about a 7-minute walk from each other, so really not too far logistically. They did have shuttles that you could go from one to the other. They had a couple golf carts that had about 4 to 6 people could stay on there, and then they also had almost a party bus type shuttle, and that could hold a lot more people. And the shuttles only ran at night, so kind of keep that into consideration as well, depending on which place you want to personally stay at.
It is hot there in the summers, but because of the way the buildings are built, you can walk in the shade pretty much the entire time, so we never really felt like it was too uncomfortable to walk. It was pretty easy, and so don't feel like you have to stay at one because you don't want to walk. It really is a safe and easy walk.
The only thing is at nighttime, if you didn't want to wait for the shuttle and you were staying at whichever hotel you wanted to go to, because there were parties at each one, depending on what you were wearing, it could be a little bit uncomfortable just like walking from one to the other, since it's like in an open area in New Orleans, and it's not just going from your room to the party, if that makes sense, since you're having to go in that in-between area. But again, you could just wait for a shuttle at that point, or get a taxi if you wanted to as well. Location wise, it wasn't completely like right on Bourbon Street, but it was very centrally located to where you could do a short walk and then be right on Bourbon Street. In Canal Street too. It wasn't like very far from, the actual action, even just of New Orleans as a whole.
So we're gonna go into the playrooms. I know people always are curious about this. We're gonna talk about the Nopsy one first, because I think the ones at the Astor are even more exciting. The first thing to note is you do have to be either in lingerie or, some sort of robe, something like that. You can't just walk into the playrooms in your street clothes, so that's good to note. They also have areas kind of towards the front. They have bags for you to put your stuff in so you can change. So it's not like you have to leave to go to the bathroom to do that. There's areas, a lot of people are changing there, so totally easy. And then the Nopsy, they had a dungeon. It was a little bit smaller, but they had a cross. They had several other things I'm not sure the names of. They have toys. It was dark. It was a nice atmosphere. Never too busy in there, so you could definitely kind of, experiment if maybe that was newer to you. And they also had one playroom with the Nopsy. It was probably around 15 beds. It was red. It was lit really nice. It smelled nice. It just had an overall good feel. And so it was a really nice playroom, but the really, really cool ones were over at the Astor.
Over at the Astor, it was an entire hotel floor. And so you get off at the elevator, and then again, you could only be in a robe or lingerie. Like, there was a place for you to change, and they really thought of everything that you really need for an amazing playroom. So they had towels there available, they had water that you could get, they had protection available, and you walk in and there's already like music playing, like nice soft music, and it's not really like a maze, but like you walk in and there's a ton of different rooms. Like you walk down different hallways, I guess you could say, like corridors, and then from there you can look in and there's so many different rooms. One of the main rooms was just like, it's called the open room. There were, I can't even count how many beds in that room, and they had beautiful curtains on there. It was red and white curtains. It had red lighting. The temperature was incredible. It wasn't too hot, it wasn't too cold. It was literally just right, which is like a very important thing for, playing in general. And so they had that, and then they had different rooms that were more specific to people's personal tastes and personal relationship styles and structures. So they had like a +1 room, they had a bi-couples room, they had one of the rooms that we thought was like the most beautiful was one called the Crystal Room, and you walk in, it was like they had beautiful like white-ish lighting and like fairy lights, and they had these beaded curtains, and so you could either watch, or if you liked to be watched, and it was such like a sensual space. And there was a sitting room where you could use the toys if you wanted to, and then have people watch. And there was other just in general open areas that weren't like as big as the main open room.
There's also a dark room, which was really cool. I mean, we said you could almost like develop photos in there. Like, it was pitch black, but I mean, who knows how big it was, because really you couldn't see, but there was that room, and there was literally so many different cool playrooms. So next we're gonna go into the parties. I'll start with the daytime parties. So they had daytime parties that were pretty much pool parties is what I would call them. They had one at the Nopsy and at the Astor. Both of them had a pretty similar feel. The Nopsy is said slightly nicer hotel, so the pool party was a little bit nicer there, but it was very busy. There was lots of people there just having drinks. That was the main areas at the hotels for daytime parties, but there was also parties on Bourbon Street. So these parties are really cool because they actually closed off and they were just events for the people that were at the convention, whether that was you bought your day pass or you bought your entire package. And so you could go in, they had different ones. There was like themed ones. So there was like a foam party. There was a Western party. Some of the cruises and some of the resorts, they put on parties. And they would just go in there. People were dancing. Some of them had live music. Some of them had DJs. They were just fun times. And it was really cool to go to a party that was not at the hotel per se, because you got to go and experience some of New Orleans by going to different kinds of bars on Bourbon Street. So there was a lot of different options for daytime parties.
You could also hop from one place to the other. So say you wanted to start at the daytime pool party, so you could go there first, and then a little bit later you can go to one of the bars, and then from there you can go across the street to the other bar. And regarding clothing optional wise, you could be clothing optional at the Astor Hotel.
Like completely clothing optional.
At the pool. And then at the Nopsey Hotel, you could be topless optional there. And then some of the Bourbon Street parties, depending on what the specific takeover was, you could be topless there as well. They also had like different games and like contests at some of the bar takeovers. And so you could see some spicy audience shows, if you know what I mean. So they did have that option as well, where you could be clothing optional depending on what was happening.
There was themes for the nighttime parties and daytime parties. I will say the themes for the daytime party were definitely not that many people dressed up on theme. I think they were just kind of added as a little bit of fun if you want to do something. There was a sports theme, there was a funny t-shirt theme, there was a favorite band or musician type t-shirt day, and then there was also a pineapple pride day. And so they had the daytime themes, but I wouldn't say most people dressed up on daytime themes.
Moving into the nighttime parties, which is like a big part of the event in general, there are 3 different ballrooms. And so there were 2 ballrooms at the Astor, and then there was one at the Nopsey. We're going to start off with the Nopsey first. And so again, overall, Nopsey had more of a luxurious feel. It was a bit of a nicer hotel, and that was also shown in the ballroom banquet party area. So you go in there. Oh my God, it was so pretty. There was projections throughout the entire like wall area, and there were chandeliers. They had amazing lights like lasers, and they had visuals behind the DJ, and it was truly a beautiful dance area. We have not seen a lifestyle club really like a club in general do something quite like this. Like, it didn't feel like Vegas, but you know, like more on par to a Vegas nightclub than any other lifestyle club that we've seen. And the Nopsey was definitely more chill, and again, that's less people at the Nopsey just in general, not as many rooms, and there was only one ballroom there. And so overall, more chill feeling, but a lot nicer. And not nicer in the way that the other place wasn't nice, it was just like so different in that aspect. And then you can hop over to the Astor Hotel, where there were 2 different ballrooms. There was 2 different dance parties going on, and all of these are going on at the same time, and they all started at 9 o'clock. So you could go from, that's what we did. We went from Nopsey first, and then from there we went over to the Astor. We'd start off in the, I would say, the main ballroom, and then that one had a mix of all different types of music, and that was, you know, 80s, 90s, top 40, kind of all throughout. And then in there also had amazing visuals. They had stuff behind the DJ, they had lights, they had projections on the walls as well, and these were like specific visual projections either for that specific DJ or for naughty events in general. So it wasn't even like a normal generic thing that you would see, if that makes sense. And then the last party is the EDM party, and that was just a short, it was on the same floor on the Astor. You just walk from one like right across to the other, both inside, both on the same floor. And then that one had strictly EDM music. Most of the people started at the main party at the Astor, and then it would kind of later in the night either transfer over to the EDM room. And then overall, we feel like the EDM room had a bit of a younger vibe versus the other places.
That party in the EDM room also felt like it went a little bit later to us. I feel like that was the most busy party at the end of the night, but both of, actually all of the 3 places where those banquet halls were, they had awesome seating. And so there was tables with chairs. So if you were dancing, you wanted to go take a little bit of a break for a second, there was always a place to sit, which is so nice. And then there was one other party, which we're gonna include, which was a Colette New Orleans, which is a swinger club in New Orleans. They worked with Naughty Nolans, and so like, I think there was, with your badge that you got, there were certain discounts for going to Colette. So I think one day it was free, one day it was $20, and then the prices varied. But there was also nighttime parties at Colette. We only went one night. We went on a Friday when our friend DJ Life of Spice was DJing, and it was packed. The vibe was awesome there. So many people were having such a good time. So like that night it was really fun because we went to the Nopsy first for a little bit. We walked 3 minutes to Colette, New Orleans, and then we walked another 4 minutes, and then we were at the Astor and partying there. So you kind of got to do all of them, and you have that option because it's all walkable. So the parties were really, really sick at night.
Naughty New Orleans also has amazing themes. They're a bit more unique than we're typically used to at a normal club, or even sometimes on like the cruises or the resorts. And so they had Haunted Naughty and Out of This World, Pineapple Pride, and then Mardi Gras Masquerade. And they do the Mardi Gras one. That is the one that stays constant every single year, and it's always the big Saturday party.
It is the most on theme I've ever seen people at any event ever. I would say it was 90 to 93% of people who were dressed up on theme. I mean, and some people went all out. Some people, you know, didn't maybe go all out, but still wore something on theme. So it is one of those events that I would recommend going on theme if you don't want to feel, not like you're going to feel left out, but if you want to feel like most of the crowd, most people did dress up on theme. So next we're going to go into activities. There was so many activities that went on at this event. It was honestly crazy. The first one I'm talking about is seminars. So lots of different things have seminars, but these ones kind of took the cake for me because they had things that were all the way from beginner, where you don't even know if you're in the lifestyle, you don't know what the lifestyle is. I mean, literally anything like that, all the way to meetings of people who did industry work. So people that are, you know, own clubs or content creators or whatever it is, and then everything in between. And they had things that were lifestyle related. They had things that were related, that were poly related, that were literally so all over the place and so all encompassing. They had this really nice app, or you could go on their website and you could go through, you could see the schedule and you could see who was hosting it, you know, how long it was. It honestly was so nice, and so we loved the events here because there was just so many options for everybody. Most of them were all just included in their price. There was a few that were a little bit more hands-on that did have additional cost, but it said that in the app. And so basically you could go to as many as you want because most days from around 11 to 6, there was multiple classes going on all the time.
There was also a ton of different meet and greets, and that was all the way I can't even tell you how many there were. They had meet and greets that were specific to certain play styles. They had ones for specific relationship structures. They had ones for a specific age range. I mean, whatever you thought, I swear that there had to be a meetup for that specific audience type.
Yeah, there was a cool one that was a podcaster one, and so we got to meet some other lifestyle podcasters we've never met before. There was people who were listeners, or people who wanted to start podcasts. And so there was just so many places for open discussions to meet so many like-minded people, and you're even niched down even more in those. And so it was really, really cool.
They also had crafting areas, or like a crafting type thing where you could make name necklaces, and we'll talk more about the parade a little bit later, but they had poster boards where you can make your own poster for the Freedom Parade that they did. And there were a ton of different vendors too, so there was a lot of different shopping that you can do, and that's at both of the hotels as well. There were more vendors at the Astor just because it was bigger over there, but there were vendors at both areas. So if you wanted to shop, you definitely could do that. They had corsets, they had toys for the BDSM realm. They had so many different things that you could do, and there were a lot of other vendors for different resorts, so like Temptation Desire.
We had a booth as well, so we didn't stay at it that much, but we did have a really cool looking booth. There was a bunch of podcasters and I said clubs and stuff that did little booths as well, gave out some freebies, and so there was a ton of different vendors. So pretty much anything you're looking for lifestyle wise, whether it's education to learn about stuff all the way to buying pretty much any sort of lifestyle thing you could want, they were selling down there.
One of the most amazing things about this event is just how the creators is all about collaboration. The creators at the event, they feel like there's enough in this space for everybody, and so there was so much just love, community, and collaboration, and everybody just felt so open and just wanting everybody to succeed. And that was just like within, the industry space, but then outside of it, just the community itself and the event goers and the people and like the population of who was going, just like truly incredible. They also had other fun activities like a scavenger hunt that you could be a part of, and then this one was for a fee, but they did have an IV station that was a different company came in. So if you wanted to replenish or recover, you could definitely do that as well.
There was some cool stuff like comedians at nighttime, and so if you wanted to go, you know, get your laugh in, there was a comedy show. Jen Porter, who does almost like covers of songs, but she kind of makes them a little bit more sexy and puts like funny words in them. You've seen her like on Temptation cruises and things like that. And so she was there doing some live music. And so there was a ton of just activities going on literally all the time.
There was also live bands sometimes too. Usually at the Nopsey Hotel, they had more live music than at the Astor. The Astor was more just the DJs.
They also had some really cool, like almost, I would almost say like a go-go dancer, if you want to call it that. And they would be kind of doing some like visuals with like these lights coming out of their hands and stuff. And they just had some cool people that were dancing during the actual like EDM room, especially. Sometimes they would go up on stage. They had some cool dancers. They had this funny little like peep show thing, and basically it looked like a keyhole, and you looked inside, and then there was a burlesque model that was kind of like modeling and just being sensual. And so they had so many cool little things like that I just keep saying, like, there was always something cool going on.
Next is food, which we didn't really expect there to be much of for the event itself. So we'll talk about the event food first, and then into how just New Orleans is as a food city. Whenever you were at the dancing areas or in the ballrooms, they actually had little finger foods for you to eat, and they were replenishing it pretty regularly throughout. Maybe like towards 2, 3 a.m. it was pretty picked over, but I mean within like the first couple hours, it was kept getting replenished, and it was light foods, so we didn't feel like super heavy. But then they also had like little more, I guess, fried foods, like a little empanada. They had chicken skewers one day. They had little egg rolls one day, and so they had so many different options. They also had a charcuterie board, so there was cheeses and little meats, salamis and breads, and they had pita chips with hummus and vegetables. And so there was always like a really nice platter of food at any of the dance areas, also at the Astor, just like out in the open area where the bars were. And that was another thing we didn't talk about with the nighttime parties, but there were bars everywhere as well inside of the dance areas. Each one had a bar that you could go to, and then also on the Astor they had 2 bars on the outside area that you could buy a drink. It did say no outside beverages could go in, so at least you had the option there. They also had water stations everywhere that were just open, that you could go and get water, so you didn't need to wait for the bar to get water. They really thought of it all. And they even had pizza, so every single night they had pizza, like Domino's pizza brought in, and you could eat pizza
at midnight. Pizza at midnight. And
every single night. So I mean, they really thought of it all. That wasn't something I was expecting at all. I thought that, I mean, before we went to the event, we went to the grocery store and we bought not a bunch of food, but food so we could have like snacks and stuff in our room, because we thought that if we got hungry, we'd have to just go back to our room and eat whatever we brought. But the fact that they had that there, and like it was good food, it was such a nice surprise for us.
And then in general, New Orleans is just a cool food city. And one thing that was really nice is that during the daytime, let's say that you wanted to go get lunch, you could go to some New Orleans type restaurant. Or if you wanted fast food, if you wanted McDonald's or Subway, or if you want to go to a nice steak restaurant and have like a nice dinner date with you and your partner, or maybe another couple, it's all right there. So you have all of New Orleans that you can go to. And then you also have all like the little finger foods and stuff at night. So food-wise, it actually was really nice. We would recommend, especially because there is mini fridges, maybe get like some turkey and cheese and bread or something to make sandwiches, or some fruit, just so that,
chips,
if you want to have like a little bit of a snack in between, or maybe you've had a huge like early lunch dinner type meal and you just want a little snack before you go out, it's always good to have a nice snack, so we would recommend that. But overall, the food was honestly really impressive.
And that brings us into just the city as a whole, and we think how like the place that they choose to have this event is such a cool place, because there's already so much culture in New Orleans and there's so much to do. So if you don't want to just be doing stuff for the event or lifestyle stuff, partying, those kinds of things, you could step out of that, I guess, world, out of that realm, and then just be in New Orleans, which is already a cool city. It was easily walkable to Bourbon Street, so if you weren't going to the Naughty Nolans parties, you can go to any of the other bars. There was shopping. It was really close to Canal Street. I mean, and then the people there and the culture, like, it's just so rich.
We talked to Bob, who's the owner of this event, and he said that they really like to use New Orleans as their place, because he's like, you could have a hotel takeover anywhere. It could be, the middle of nowhere, Wyoming, let's say, where there's nothing but the hotel. And it's gonna feel the same anywhere in the world if you don't use your surroundings. And so I think they really tried to incorporate New Orleans into that. And so it's so nice that, and they really try, because they have the parties on Bourbon Street. So they're even getting you out of the hotels and getting you to go to places. You get to see different bars every day if you go to all those little parties. And so they really incorporate the city nicely, and it feels like a nice balance. So you don't just feel like you're stuck in a hotel for 4 days. You feel like you're getting to go out, see the city, but have the hotel to also go to the night parties, and it really is a cool combination.
Really, it feels like they thought of it all. And they've been doing this for 26 years now. So, I mean, it makes sense that they are at this point where it's just, I feel like they've just thought of everything.
Yeah.
Kind of going off of that whole New Orleans thing, they also have a parade. They have a sexual freedom parade. And this is one of the main activities or events that's going on throughout the convention. And so it's the third night. And then this theme was a pineapple pride. And so it's not just for people who are in the lifestyle, but it's just, it's such an amazing feeling walking around New Orleans out just in the open, surrounded by so many people who are like-minded and part of your community, and parading and being proud of who you are, proud of our relationship, proud of just us as people and how we choose to love, and being able to do that. And I mean, it wasn't a long walk or anything. It's like 15-20 minutes or so. And they had floats. They had this big thing where you could like swing on it. And again, they had the things where you could make posters, and just seeing the people on the sidelines who weren't even in the parade or even in the community being supporting of our lifestyle in this time of society where it's so stigmatized and so unaccepted. It felt so special, and it was the one thing that we were like super excited for, but experiencing it was a completely different animal. I mean, it was one of my personal favorite things I've ever done in the lifestyle. As it comes to like an event or an activity, I think it tops the cake. I mean, obviously there's like the things that happen within the lifestyle and how like it grows our relationship and those kinds of things, but as an event itself, like activity itself, absolutely incredible.
Lastly, before the conclusion, we'll talk about the staff. The staff was absolutely phenomenal. That goes for the staff that was at the actual hotels working, as well as the naughty staff. I feel like everyone went above and beyond just to make you feel comfortable, to make you feel safe. So just a huge shout out to the staff overall, because everyone truly did such a good job.
I do believe that the naughty staff were either volunteers or ambassadors of the event, and people who were either in the community or people who were at least know what the community is. And so you could really see that with how they were doing their job. You could tell that everybody was very happy to be there. They were excited. Everyone was always smiling. It was such I feel like a really great marker of what type of event it is with the people who are working the event.
So in conclusion, we absolutely loved this event. I think it goes to show how wonderful the event really is, that people have been going for 20-25 years and keep coming back. They really do put out so much effort. I mean, for example, they keep evolving. So one night, the first night of the party at the Nopsy, that they had the party there, it was kind of hard to see the food because there was no lights and it was dark. The next night we went to that party, there was a light there. So it's not like they're like, oh, next year we're gonna fix that. Like, they went above and beyond to fix the things right then so that everything was the best it could be. So overall, I would say it's such an amazing event. Me and Bella both talked about it, and we really couldn't think of anything that we would personally change. It really was just so great, whether you're a newbie, whether you're super experienced, whatever it is, everything in between is welcome, and it is such a fun event.
We also love how just in general open the event is. So it's not just catered toward the lifestyle. It's not catered just to swingers. It's open. So whether you're polyamorous or whether you and your partner are just a spicier couple and maybe you don't want to open your relationship but you like to be in this environment, you can do that. You can be there. You are welcome. We love how diverse and welcoming they are to all different relationship structures, and we absolutely love it. I can't believe that this is our first year going and that we haven't gone before after it's been going on for so many years, but we will definitely be back every year as long as we are available and it fits in our schedules and everything. We absolutely loved it and highly recommend. Again, whether you're completely new, not even in it, just want to be in the environment, all the way to if you are literally in the industry and you own multiple clubs.
The last thing I really want to touch over is, maybe which hotel would be better for you. We think that if you are a little bit more chill, you like to go to the parties, you like to, go to some of the booths, some of the classes, but you don't really mind, you're kind of easy go with the flow. I feel like the Nopsy is a nicer hotel, so that's probably the best option. But if you are the kind of person who wants to, be really close to like where the main parties are, where all the classes are going on, where the most of the vendors are, the Astor is probably a better option just because it's right downstairs and that's where the majority of things are. So that's just a little recommendation based off of what you might want. But I would definitely say book early, book with us, foreplay.com/events, just because the hotels do sell out. This event sells out every year and I don't see it getting any smaller anytime soon. And so if you guys want to come with a group, we like to do little group dinners, we like to give out some swag. It doesn't cost any extra to you and it's just super fun to get to meet all of you guys. So we really appreciate if you want to come and you're considering coming, booking with us. We'd love to meet you. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like, comment down below. Have you guys ever been to Naughty, or were you there this year? Are you coming next year? Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a post a video, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye!